Hi guys, I know it's been a while, but don't worry, we haven't gone anywhere. It's just been a busy end of season. We've had a lot to do, including harvesting, whether it's been our wheat, our pumpkins, or other things at the allotment, and also general maintenance. But we just thought we'd give you guys a bit of an update, just to let you know that there will be more content coming. However, in the meantime, today we'd just like to share with you some of the foraging we've been doing on our walks in our local area near our home, just so you can see what kind of things you can find when you go out into nature. Hi
Hi!
guys, welcome to WeSo.
Today we are going foraging. Foraging is the art of finding, gathering and harvesting food for free.
And we also plan to show you later on in the video how you can make use of hawthorn berries to make a fruit leather, which is really good for various properties of the heart.
Let's go! So the first thing that I've spotted is cleavers and nettle growing side by side. If you look down here, cleavers are really good for cleaning out your lymphatic system, and this will be ready in the spring. You can pick nettles now, but it's a good idea to wear a glove because these ones are stinging nettles. And you can also boil that as a tea as well. You can identify cleavers because they're the herb that sticks. See? I just spotted some apples up there as well. Not quite sure what variety of apples are there, but they look quite delicious. So it's really important when you're foraging not to pick from low down, because dogs can foul and other animals can do their business low. So always pick from kind of in the middle. So here we are picking berries.
What's quite cool is that blackberries often tend to grow quite close to the hawthorn, and for the fruit leather we'll show, it's nice to mix other berries in because of the flavour, because hawthorns don't taste very nice on their own. So Dee has just picked some which are growing nearby, and then we also have what's quite cool, some rose hips growing here. You can make this into a tea, and it's very high in vitamin C. And you can find that all of this seems to be growing all together along this hedgerow. We also have here some elderberries. Well, as you can see, the season is finished, but these are really good antiviral, which can be made into a cough mixture. There's a few berries on here, as you can see, and that's what they look like when they're fully ripe. They're very dark. And what we have here is a slowberry bush, and these are almost like a sour plum, and they are, interestingly enough, closely related to plums. You find them throughout hedgerows that are planted in the countryside, and these are good as a treatment for coughs and colds, and also it's supposed to be able to help with breathing problems. And this fruit also can help detoxify the system. So this is just something else which you can actually find, which is edible. And as I mentioned, it is sour, but I'd say it's largely an acquired taste. Hi guys, and welcome to the WeSo kitchen. And as promised earlier in the video, we're going to talk to you about how we make use of hawthorn berries after we have foraged for them. Now, the reason why you would want to forage for hawthorn berries is because they are beneficial to heart health. Hawthorn berries have been known to be used in treating high blood pressure, low blood pressure, and even heart failure. So we like to collect these in the autumn season as a heart tonic which we can use. Often hawthorn berries are used in teas. However, in this instance, we are going to be making use of them to make fruit leathers. And fruit leathers are basically a dried fruit which is made into a kind of series of strips, and they are a very tasty way of making use of hawthorn berries. Now, because of the flavour of hawthorn berries, we tend to mix other berries with our hawthorn, and when you're out foraging, the berries that tend to grow in abundance near to hawthorn berries, which we use, are blackberries. Now, because of the season and the fact that autumn is usually the peak of hawthorn berry season, the blackberries may or may not be in as much abundance, and also they may not be of the best quality. However, it's still worth grabbing as many of them as you can that are usable. So to begin the process, what you need are hawthorn berries, blackberries, blueberries, water, a blender, and lastly, you need an oven or a dehydrator. Now, in the case of the berries that we add to the mixture that we're going to make, if you are not able to get blackberries or get enough, as I mentioned earlier, it's definitely worth just buying these at the supermarket, just buying maybe a couple packs of blackberries and maybe one pack of blueberries. And to get started, the main thing that you need to do is to give your berries a rinse. So you need to rinse the hawthorn berries and also remove any of the twig-like appendages that are on it. And also you need to rinse your blackberries and also rinse your blueberries. Once you've done this and made sure that your berries are separated from anything that you don't need, in the case of the hawthorn berries, sometimes you have the little twigs and the leaves which you want to separate those from. And you will take your mixture of berries and put them inside of your blender cup, or whatever it is that is going to hold them with. And what we need to make is effectively a smoothie-like texture using our blender. So we will need to add some water, but we want to make sure that we don't add too much water, just enough to get the texture of a smoothie, a kind of thickish smoothie, but we don't want it to be too thin with the water, because since we are going to be making a fruit leather, which is effectively a dried fruit, the more water you have, the longer it's going to take for you to get all of that moisture out. So you set your berries with just the right amount of water, and set them in the blender to go for at least 30 seconds, maybe a minute, depending on the strength of your blender. And a top tip is to make sure that you use the most powerful blender that you have access to, as the hawthorn has these stone-like pips inside of them, which unfortunately can make the fruit leather have a gritty texture. So although I've used the NutriBullet here, I really think I should have used a Vitamix, but next time I think I'll do that, as I know that would pulse out all of the gritty pips that are in there. But if you don't mind the grittiness, and you don't have the most powerful blender, I still think it's worth making these, as the flavour is still quite nice, and it's very good for you to have these as something to have in your diet during this season. So once you've blended everything, the next step now is we need to pour this mixture into whether it's a Pyrex dish or on some baking paper to pop in the oven if we're using the oven method. But be careful with using baking paper because you don't want any of this mixture to spill. And you just need to put it at a very low heat in the oven. However, because we have a dehydrator, we're going to use the dehydrator method. So with dehydrator, the dehydrator has trays, and with the trays come these plastic strips, or should I say these plastic sheeting, which we can put various items on to dehydrate. And also the dehydrator we have came with some fruit leather containers. And so what we do is we pour our mixture into the fruit leather containers. And also I've decided to pour some on this plastic sheeting, which can be used on each tray, because what we want to make sure is that with our mixture, we don't have it too thick, because the thicker that it is, the longer it will take to dehydrate and for the moisture to actually come out. So if we can spread our mixture across maybe, different trays or different containers, so that it's not just a big, large mass, then we are able to dehydrate it a lot quicker. And as you can see, with my dehydrator, we have the temperature has been set. And once the mixture has been poured out onto the sheets and into the fruit leather trays, we now just have to put the cover on and to leave it. And typically this can take a long time. It can take a day or even a bit more, depending on how good your dehydrator is. And you just want to make sure that you check your fruit leathers and ensure that it has really dried out, because if your fruit leathers haven't dried out fully and some parts are still very moist, then obviously it won't last as long and you could get spoilage and things of that nature. Once your fruit leathers have been made, you'll find that they are these thin kind of crispy sheets. You'll notice that they will have shrunk in size because of all the water that has been removed. And then what you then need to do is just take your strips of fruit leather out of your tray or out of your oven, and then you can literally just cut these into strips, which you can then put in a jar. I tend to like using a mason jar, and store this in the fridge. And there you have it. You have fruit leathers made from hawthorn berries. And you can just simply take these whenever you feel like it and just eat a piece or two whenever you're having, your fruits or whatever it is that you like to eat. So that's it. And I just hope that you guys have found this useful. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.